Ancient Egypt never ceases to capture the attention of people worldwide. As a result, historians and archaeologists are very intent on learning about its past existence and discovering its treasures in the present. And it's for all the right reasons. Egypt is a land surrounded by mysteries that, even after being tried to unraveled by so many for so long, has a great deal left unknown. Some of the great discoveries of the historical era lie wrapped under the mighty sands of Egypt. Are you too fascinated with solving and discovering such unexplainable mysteries? Hello, and welcome back to the Abandoned Archaeologist again, the channel to learn all about ancient archaeological findings. Today we're going to talk about ancient Egypt and some of its unexplainable mysteries. Then let's begin with our video. But before we begin, to get your attention, we have a question you can answer at the end of the video by watching it. As you guys are fond of ancient discoveries and mysteries, during which historical period were the pyramids of Giza built? Write down your answer in the comment section and see if you got it right. 100 million year old sperm. The world's oldest known sperm has been discovered, trapped in a piece of amber that solidified when behemoths like Spinosaurus ruled the earth. The massive sperm comes from a much smaller creature than the toothy Spinosaurus, an ostracod, a crustacean that resembles a shrimp dressed up as a clam for Halloween. Ostracods, also known as seed shrimp, are typically tenths of an inch long. There are thousands of ostracod species alive today, many of which have enormous sperm cells. Scientists have discovered an example of this massive sperm in an ostracod from the Cretaceous period, which occurred 100 million years ago. The sperm was discovered in a mine in northern Myanmar, inside an amber disc the size of a postage stamp. There were 39 ostracods in this tiny blob of tree resin, 31 of which belonged to a previously unknown species called Myanmar cypress hui. What researchers discovered inside an adult female M. hui was the most exciting. The soft tissues of the female were preserved, including 4 tiny eggs and a spaghetti-like mass within the female's seminal receptacles. Roman fingerprints were found in the 2,000-year-old cream. A 2,000-year-old cream was discovered in a sealed Roman container with fingerprints. The metal artifact, which measures 6 centimeters in diameter and shows little decay, was discovered during excavations at a temple complex of Rome in Southwark, London. The white paste with a sulfurous odor was discovered when experts lifted the metal pot's lid at the Museum of London. One of the archaeologists, Gary Brown, said it appears to be a cosmetic cream or ointment of some kind. Creams of this type do not typically survive into the archaeological record, making this a one-of-a-kind find. The cream could be a face paint used in ritual ceremonies. The imprints may reveal whether the pot was used by an adult or a child, male or female. Although no one knows who placed the container in the sealed ditch, it is thought that the drain in which it was discovered may have had a ritual significance. Pyramids in Antarctica. A team of American and European scientists claim to have discovered 3 ancient pyramids in the Antarctic. However, according to a ScienceRay.com article, which was picked up by several, mostly Russian websites, including Voice of Russia, relatively little is known about the pyramids, and the team is keeping quiet about the details of the discovery. The scientists' only reliable information was that an expedition to the pyramids was planned to conduct further research and determine whether the structures were artificial or natural. More claims of Antarctic pyramids have been made on YouTube, with explanations of the theories on offer. If the researchers can prove that the pyramids were built by humans, the discovery could result in the biggest revision of human history. But don't get your hopes up. The cocaine mummies. Consider Henut Toi, the Lady of the Two Lands, a perfectly mummified Egyptian princess and priestess who was beautiful, powerful, and gently alluring. Imagine being transported back in time and invited to her palace to partake in the most luxurious experiences of the day. As you sit near her throne, you're showered with new delights and substances you never expected to find in ancient Egypt, such as cocaine and tobacco. Wait a minute. While this fantasy contradicts mainstream Egyptian mythology, there is evidence that it could have happened. This is because Hanut Toi and the contentious cocaine mummies revealed a vast global trade network connecting the New World to ancient Egypt. There was no drug plant discovered in ancient Egypt. However, toxicologist Svetlana Balabonova discovered traces of cocaine and nicotine in priestess Hanut Toi's hair in 1992. Because these drugs were not discovered on the African continent until after Columbus's voyage, archaeologists and historians have speculated how this could have happened. Nicotine in mummies' hair was not uncommon because nicotine was available on many continents and easily derived from plants other than tobacco. Before Hanut's reign, cannabis had been a part of Egyptian cultural and religious practices for centuries. Cocaine, on the other hand, was a different story. The discovery of the Valley of Golden Mummies. An Egyptian team recently discovered a mummy festival at Bahariya Oasis, about 380 kilometers west of the pyramids. 4 tombs were excavated, and 105 mummies, many of them beautifully gilded, were discovered inside. These mummies, many of which are lavishly decorated with religious scenes, are among the finest Roman period mummies ever discovered in Egypt. These ancient relics are about 2,000 years old, but have admirably stood the test of time. The Nazis' gold train. Piotr Koper, a treasure hunter, has announced that he may have discovered the legendary Nazi gold train at the bottom of a lake. In March 1945, the Nazis sent out from Gorlitz with a convoy of museum artwork and treasures from Russia's Amber Room. According to legend, as the war ended, a local miner witnessed a group of German soldiers transporting a train loaded with valuables through the Owl Mountains near the town of Walbridge. The locomotive, dubbed the Nazi Gold Train, has never been found and has become a source of fascination for historians and treasure hunters. Unfortunately, it's become an obsession for some, with numerous attempts to find it over the years. Some have warned that the train is unlikely to contain any gold or treasures. Instead, they believe it was loaded with chemical agents that the Nazis were transporting to Berlin in a last-ditch effort to stop the Soviet Red Army. Dangerous nerve agents like tabun are suspected to be among the chemicals on board. Leonardo da Vinci's thumbprint. Leonardo's thumbprint was discovered in the Royal Collection of the United Kingdom. On one of his artworks, a medical drawing shows the mark on his left thumb. Alan Donathorne, the collection's former paper conservator, discovered the print's reddish-brown ink matches that of the drawing, implying that Leonardo picked up the sheet with inky fingers. On the reverse, there is also a smudged mark on his left index finger. The thumbprint sheet is titled "The Cardiovascular System and Major Organs of a Woman around 1509 to 1510. Even though fingerprints have been discovered on other Leonardo drawings, Donathorne considers the one on the medical sheet the most convincing candidate for an authentic Leonardo fingerprint among the Queen's 550 or so Leonardos. Bear from the Ice Age. Researchers have discovered the preserved remains of a bear from an ice age by reindeer herders in the Russian Arctic. The bear, which still has its teeth and nose, is thought to be a brown bear species that lived between 22,000 and 39,500 years ago. The discovery was unprecedented by scientists at the University NEFU, known for its research on woolly mammoths and other prehistoric species. According to Dr. Lena Gregorieva, a paleontology researcher at the university, the bear was one of its kind ever to be recovered in one piece with soft tissue. The bear is completely preserved, with all internal organs intact, even its nose. Dr. Gregorieva said previously only skulls and bones had been discovered, so this discovery is critical for the entire world. According to Dr. Grigorevia, the animal is an ancient relative of the brown bear, a massive species found in Eurasia and North America. A piece of Jesus' cross. Archaeologists working at the site of an ancient church in Turkey believe they have discovered a relic of Jesus' cross. The relic was discovered inside a stone chest in the ruins of Balatlar Church, a 7th century building in Sinop, Turkey, on the Black Sea's shores. This stone chest is important to archaeologists, has a history, and is the most important artifact they have unearthed so far. The cross Jesus was crucified has sparked much religious interest and debate. Many churches worldwide claim to have a small relic of the wooden cross, but some critics question the authenticity of the relics. Protestant theologian John Calvin, a well-known 16th century skeptic of religious relics, such as the so-called the true cross, once remarked that if they could find all the pieces and collect it together, the pieces would design a big shipload. Other purported Christian relics, such as a 2,000-year-old ossuary adorned with obscure carvings, discovered in 1981, have disputed origins. 2,000-year-old disco colgante. The 2,000-year-old disco colgante is an object created for unknown reasons, or so it appears to us, modern humans. Was it an ancient tool, a high-tech device, or a ritual artifact? Or does it demonstrate our forefathers' extensive knowledge of astronomy? Of course, it might be a coincidence, but the disco colgante leads us to believe that this is a graphic representation of the Milky Way or another spiral galaxy. Although it is unknown how spiral arms form in these galaxies, modern astronomers know that most spiral galaxies have a central bulge surrounded by a flat, rotating disk of stars. If the disco colgante represents a spiral galaxy, it demonstrates that ancient people were far more advanced than previously thought. Disco colgante is an intriguing artifact, without a doubt, but it does pose a challenge to anyone attempting to decipher its purpose. The object is housed at the Rafael Larco Herrero Archaeological Museum in Lima, Peru's capital. The artifact was created around 2,000 years ago, but disco colgante has never been carbonated, so we need to find out how old it is. If you look closely at the disc, you'll notice that the number of arms does not correspond to the number of arms in our galaxy. For example, the Milky Way is divided into 4 spiral arms: Norma and Cygnus, Sagittarius, Scutum Crux, and Perseus. So if the ancient Peruvian disk depicts a spiral galaxy, it's not the Milky Way. On the other hand, the small dot is reminiscent of our sun. It has been suggested that the artifact was created by the Moshe culture. Between the 1st and 8th centuries, the Moshe flourished and ruled the northern coast of Peru. Before the Incas, at the same time, the Mayas thrived in Mexico and Central America. Archaeologists have discovered many fascinating Moshe artifacts, but none that resemble this strange disc. The purpose of disco colgante is unknown, but it is not the first time we have encountered perplexing artifacts that resemble components of high-tech devices. The ancient Egyptian schist disc is equally perplexing, and these ancient objects remind us that we still know very little about our forefathers' lives. Ibis mummies. The discovery of a cracked conundrum containing millions of mummified birds has solved an ancient Egyptian mystery. Pharaohs and members of the nobility were frequently mummified, but the practice was not limited to humans. Cats, crocodiles, mice, and mongooses were all discovered as mummies. While some were discovered alongside human burials, others, most notably the sacred Ibis bird, were mummified as part of rituals to appease the gods. Over 4 million sacred Ibis mummies have been discovered in Tuna El Catacombs, Gabels, and 1.75 million have been discovered in Saqqara's ancient burial ground. The vast majority were offerings to the god Thoth, a practice popular between 450 and 250 BC. But the sheer number of mummified ibises had experts scratching their heads, wondering where all these birds had come from. One theory is that they were raised on a large scale in hatcheries. The archaeologists examined DNA from 14 mummified sacred ibises discovered in ancient Egypt, as well as 26 modern samples from Africa. According to the findings, the level of diversity in mitochondrial DNA among ancient birds is comparable to that of modern wild birds, as are the levels of potentially harmful mutations. The team believes that if the ancient Egyptians had farmed sacred ibises, genetic diversity in ancient birds would have been reduced due to high levels of inbreeding. Wasif, one of the archaeologists, speculated that instead of being bred in a mass farming situation, sacred ibises were enticed to local areas and kept in their natural habitat, or perhaps captured and kept in farms for a short time, ready for sacrifice. Mystery of Khufu ship. The incredible mystery of the Khufu ship was once again in the spotlight. May 26th was a day to commemorate the 65th anniversary of the discovery of the Khufu ship. In 1954, on this day, one of the largest and oldest boats on the planet was discovered buried near Egypt's largest pyramid, as per Google's Doodle's description. The mystery surrounding the Khufu ship sets it apart from the rest of Egypt's monuments and creations. The ancient vessel, discovered in an airtight vault near the Great Pyramid of Giza, has archaeologists puzzled as to what it was originally intended for. Archaeologist Kamal El-Malak discovered the Khufu ship buried on Giza Pyramid's south side. First, he looked at a row of massive limestone blocks surrounding a rectangular pit. Then he smashed through a limestone slab to reveal a vault beneath his feet. The sun's rays shone for the first time in 4,500 years on the timbers of a great papyriform ship constructed, dismantled and buried at the height of the Egyptian Old Kingdom. Haj Ahmed Yusuf, an Egyptian Department of Antiquities restorer, oversaw the slow process of resembling the ship's more than 1,200 pieces. He studied ancient tomb models and visited modern shipyards along the Nile. More than a decade later, the 143-foot-long, 19.6-foot-wide vessel was completely restored without using a single nail. According to The Independent, the ship was reportedly so well designed that it could sail today as well if launched back onto the Nile today. Most experts believe the ship was built for Pharaoh Khufu, possibly transporting the pharaoh to the afterlife. In addition, historians generally agree that Khufu built the 6 million-ton Great Pyramid of Giza. Khufu, known as Cheops in Greek, was the 4th dynasty's second pharaoh and ruled over 2,500 years before Jesus was born. Others believe the vessel holds the key to the pyramid's construction. The Khufu ship was inspired by the sun god Ra's so-called solar barge. Atet, solar boats were made mostly of cedar wood and used in religious rituals in ancient Egypt. What do you think of these unexplainable mysteries of ancient Egypt? Let us know in the comments below. And the answer to the question we've asked is the Old Kingdom era. The pyramids of Giza were built during the Old Kingdom era. Stay tuned for more knowledgeable videos and questions.